week one, I guess I should say, tape with the Packers, considering how long ago it was?
I mean, obviously you look at it, but, you know, teams evolve during the season to certain points. You know, we've evolved, they've evolved, but definitely you look at it.
Along those lines, what are some of the biggest differences you see from that offense recently?
You know, not a lot. They are running the ball very, very well, and they have their play-pass game off of that. They're a big play team. They get a lot of explosives because of the quality of their running game, and it's a really good offense. They do a good job calling it. They keep you off balance, and really good.
What do you feel like you guys are as a run defense going into this?
It's a good question. We've had good games and not so. We've had in between. We'll be tested this week. These guys run it very, very well.
You don't know which quarterback will play. Obviously, sounds like Love may be able to go, but does the uncertainty actually make it more difficult in terms of preparation?
Not really. I mean, obviously, if Love doesn't go, there's a little bit of change in their offense, but not a gross change.
That first game was a heavier blitz game for you. How much of that was opponent specific, and how much was you figuring out your own personnel at that time?
Both.
You played obviously Bryce Huff and Jordan Davis quite a bit Sunday. As far as Huff's concerned, like how important was it for him to kind of like shake up the cobwebs, the rust or whatever it was, and how do you think he did?
Yeah, it was real important for him. I mean, the only way you get better playing football is to practice it first and then to play it second in a real game. And it was good to get him a lot of reps. I think he improved a little bit from the 15 or so plays he had the week before, and hopefully he'll improve some more this week.
What's Jordan Love's best attribute?
He's got a big arm. He can throw it to all parts of the field with accuracy and touch. He's got good movement in the pocket. He's elusive. And he really fits their offense. You know, that offense needs a guy that can throw it down the field. He can do that. They need a guy that can scramble a little bit and be elusive. He can do that. He's a perfect fit for their offense.
Any personal gratification going through 17 games, number one defense?
I think it's a good honor for the players. They're the ones that did the work. They deserve it. But, you know, we're on to the playoffs now.
When you think about the contributions you got from Quinyon and Cooper as rookies, what did it take to get that much from them in their first years?
Yeah, they both did a good job. You know, obviously Coop was a little late starting because of his off-season injury. Both very happy with both of those guys. They've improved. They've been diligent in their approach. Their thirst to get better has been good. Everything's been good about them.
What makes their running game so effective?
Well, they got a really good line to begin with. You know, I think their 5-0 linemen have been in there for every play, I think. Number one. Number two, they have a great back. Jacobs has had as good a year as anybody. And he's hard to tackle, runs physical. And they have the play-pass game off of it. You know, so they have really good big play receivers that you're always worried about. And the combination of them being to throw it down the field and run it is a tough combination.
With that receiving core, what stands out, even with Christian Watson probably out for that game in the foreseeable future?
They're all good. You know, Dobbs is good. Reed is good. The tight end is good. Jacobs gets screens and check downs. You know, it's they spread the ball around a lot. They got a bunch of guys with around 50 receptions or more. It's hard to focus on one guy.
We're talking a lot about, week one seeming like a long time ago. How far back do you go in your career and what you've seen in prepping for any particular game? Do you go, to something that happened 10 years ago, 20 years ago? And how often do you do that? Does that ever come up any?
10 years ago, 20 years ago? No. Do you go back to previous games? Yeah. But you don't overdo it.
LaFleur made comments years ago praising you as one of the toughest defensive coordinators to face. But you mentioned their run, setting up the pass, et cetera. What makes him so good at calling his offense?
Yeah, he's got a great knowledge of his offense. He's got a great feel for calling the game, you know, and it's easier for him to do that because the run is never a bad play for those guys. And he has the patience and the mindset to stick with the run and then mix in the play passes. And I think he does a great job calling the game.
A lot of times, if a team's got two rookie starting defensive backs, there's going to be concern going to the playoffs. Is the moment too big and all that? With these two guys, do you have any concerns at all? Do they kind of not seem like rookies anymore?
Well, they're not rookies. In Q's case, he's played 16 games, and Coop's played, 12, 13, whatever it is. So, no, I think they're ready. They've played in a lot of big games this season against a lot of quality opponents, and I think they'll be ready.
The Rams are the only other team you've seen that runs motion as much as the Packers do. How does that factor into your preparation this week and the coverage rules for the game?
Yeah, they do a good job with their motion. They use it a lot. They have a variety of different motion types, and we've got to be on our adjustments.
Vic, a lot of teams are starting to interview for head coaching positions. Do you have any desire to be a head coach again?
I'm happy to be here right now.
For Quinnen specifically, what's the biggest thing that stood out to you?
I didn't say.
For Quinnen specifically, what's the biggest thing that stood out to you during his rookie year?
Just that he had the diligence to keep working at it. Never felt like I've arrived and slacked off. Always had a good thirst to get better and to learn, Very good in the meetings. He has extra meetings with Christian. So I never saw him slack off.
Zach Vaughn told us your comment when he made the Pro Bowl.
What's that?
I'm sorry, Zach Vaughn told us your comment when he made the Pro Bowl, which...
What was my comment?
Of the conversations about, I guess, getting time on the edge back in the spring. And in your, I know you're optimistic about Zach, but did you ever anticipate a Pro Bowl caliber season from him?
Well, it's hard to say that, going back to them, but I think you don't put any limits on players. If you put limits on them, you'll get limited production. Take them to the ceiling that they can go to.
What would you say is the biggest change in terms of how you guys defended the run? I mean, in that first game, they got you a few times. I know they new personnel, et cetera, but you've been able to have relative success against stopping the run despite having light boxes. Has that been the main thing? You just been figured out how to do it with a 4-2 front?
Yeah. We've improved as the seasons wore on. I think our guys understand what we need to do and have played it better, although we've had times where we haven't. I just think it's the overall improvement and evolution of the season.
You mentioned Kraft a little bit, Tucker Kraft. He's taken that big step forward, it looks like, this year. When you have that type of tight end, what kind of stress does that put on people?
Yeah, it's just another really good weapon amongst all their receivers. And he is a good tight end. He can get down the field, yet he can catch screens and check downs, and really good runner after the catch. They've got a really good quality skill position group that's backed up by a really good offensive line. And they're all excelling right now.
Thanks,
Thank you.